Hey everybody, Shay here, welcome back, and today I have a product that I want to unwrap because it's been sitting on my shelf, still in the plastic, and as you can see from the title of the episode, it's going to be an unwrapping of the art of the Mass Effect universe. It does include art from Mass Effect 3, so if you haven't played the entire trilogy, be aware I'm going to be flipping through this book and showing art and concepts in it that could give things away, could spoil the game. So let's take a look at the cover first off, if I can get rid of that glare. So on the cover here we have Tali, we have Thane, Legion, we have Jacob and Samara, and on the back cover, I'm looking at it for the first time too, we have Garrus, we have Jack, we have Grunt, Morden, and Miranda. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This is published by Dark Horse, so it's a comic book company that I do enjoy their products. I just recently, I knew they were doing the Mass Effect books and the Dragon Age books. They're publishers of those comics right now. I guess they're the only ones who own the rights, the license for that line, and they've been good so far. They're almost vital to the Mass Effect experience and Dragon Age experience because the content in these comics is actually it actually does matter to the trilogy, to the experience of the games. The price of it is $40 American or so, but of course if you go to the online stores like Indigo Chapters or Amazon or whatnot, they occasionally come on sale, and so you can get these awesome books for whatever, 20% off, 30% off. I forget what I got this off for, but I bought it during Boxing Week, Christmas. I know it's still in plastic. I've somehow managed to survive. Well, I mean, it's not a life-death situation, but I really want to look at this book and the three other ones that are on the shelf that are all Dragon Age books, so we'll take a look at those ones in a future episode. This is my most favorite game ever trilogy, the most inspiring kind of creative product that I think I've experienced in I would say without hyperbole in my life. I would love to do something that is inspired not just by Mass Effect. There's a bunch of other things that I've kind of enjoyed in my, that sci-fi, space opera kind of stuff. Things like Farscape I still love Farscape. Probably my favorite show of all time. So take some Farscape, take some Mass Effect, and take, I know this is going to sound crazy, but take this guy, Darkhawk, Marvel Comics character. I wouldn't say he's a C-list character, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't argue with anyone who says he is. But I've always wanted to write a character like Darkhawk. I know a lot of people make fun of him, but there's an idea I had for a character that is not so much an homage to Darkhawk, but kind of plays with some ideas in the original series, not so much the modern Marvel stuff. And I will say, having then experienced Farscape, it got a little bit, like the idea got a little bit crisper, and then I played Mass Effect. And then it all fell together. So I do have an idea in my head that sort of brings all of that together. So let's unravel this book. Let's unwrap this. Let's rip this apart. Not the book, the plastic. And let's take a look. Let me stop talking about all this other stuff. But I mean, it's relevant. It's all relevant because the reason why I enjoy buying books like this, once I experience this one and the three Dragon Age ones, I'm likely going to chase down one for like The Witcher, these other fantasy worlds that are out there, sci-fi worlds. World building is, I love world building. I love the idea that I love the generation of ideas that goes into the experience of creating something from scratch, creating world Bibles, like stuff like that, just to kind of get ideas out there and then have them formulate into something that turns into an entirely new universe. I'm fascinated by that experience. Like, it's these books that capture, that kind of consolidate the lore. I love the idea of that. So I'm going to be collecting more of these. Okay, so let's take a look. We have it's sort of like a matte cover around the edge here, and then they got a gloss effect on the logo and on the cover part of it. It's pretty slick. I mean, it's Dark Horse. I wouldn't expect less from them. Yeah, $40 in America, $54 or so Canadian, but of course, find the sales. You're good to go. Okay, let's crack this open and see what we're looking at. So we have the famous Mass Effect 2 scene. That's how I see this, or potentially the intro of Mass Effect 3, but we have, no, this is Mass Effect 2. It's the crashing. I don't want to give it away. Again, this is your last warning. If you haven't played these games, you don't want to be spoiled. I'm likely going to say things that are going to spoil things in this trilogy, so you've been warned. Okay, so let's keep going. Wow, I was trying to split this page apart because I thought I grabbed more than one page. No, it's one page and it's thick as hell. So I will say, right off the bat, you can hear my feet. This is a sturdy. This is almost cover stock, man. I mean, it's an art book, so to be fair, you kind of want good quality stuff in there, right? So we got our stock Shepard here, male Shep, on the cover. Oh my gosh, I do keep thinking like I'm grabbing more than one. That's crazy. And we have Fem Shep on the other side, so that's cool. Now I have seen an image online, a wallpaper or something like that, where it's effectively these two standing beside each other, and I thought that was really cool. Oh, that was one of the things I talked about in the comments online. I guess I'll go into that a little bit here just because it makes for content. But it was like one of my ideas of like, how can you continue this trilogy? Because you kind of can't. For those of you who play the game, for those of you that don't, I will not warn you again. Anyways, there's the way this trilogy ends, it's effectively done. Like you experience the Shepard story in Mass Effect, and it's done because of the way it ends, and there's a lot of consequence engine stuff behind here. You make decisions and they have consequences and stuff, and they carry through for the entire trilogy. And so you get to the end, you make a choice, and that is the choice. That's the choice. It's done. The choice is done. Your experience with Mass Effect is the canon experience from your perspective. But of course, in my head, I'm like, yeah, but there's a way to play with that, because the Mass Effect experience is unique to all of us who have played the game and who have read the content and have stitched our own canon together. It exists as a canon. Now, our canon, our personal canon. But now if you think about like all the players that have their perspective of the experience of Mass Effect, because the entire galaxy could change based on decisions that are made, they can't all be true, you know? And so truth in this particular arrangement, this relationship between this IP and the player, is that your truth is the one truth. And effectively the breakdown is that imagine that the world of Mass Effect is that it's not just this one experience, it's not one canon experience that's out there, it's that every player's experience is a canon experience, and it all works because it's part of a parallel universe idea. And so one of my ideas, that was a long way of kind of leading into, one idea I had is like if you took like and made a movie out of Mass Effect and you brought, I don't want to rip the page, you brought like this to the big screen, like how would you do it? Because I mean the idea of the player being able to choose whether they're the femme shep or the male shep, it's like how do you bring that to the screen? Because you have to choose one, and then that becomes like its own canon parallel, which is also possible. But then you're going to have people saying, well, that's not my experience, blah blah blah. How do you correct that? In my opinion, you put both of them. You tell a story that includes both of these characters as the canon characters for that cinematic universe. And cinematic universe, there's enough content in here that would make more than a trilogy. It wouldn't be one game per movie. It would be like you'd have what Marvel did. You could do this with just the Mass Effect IP, and I would tell the story of how there were two Sheps. You can make them related to one another. It doesn't matter how you do it, but the point is you try to tell that story from the perspective of having two Shepards in the movie, and then you can split them off. They can have their separate movie, but the first movie should have the two Shepards. Got another femme Shep right here. I have a terrible amount of glare, but if I don't have this other screen on with some white behind it, then you're not gonna get any good color. That's a pretty badass piece of art there too. We have an introduction here by Casey Hudson, and so he was the lead developer on the franchise, and we have Derek Watts here. He was the lead art director of the franchise. In any case, best villain ever, Saren. I love this character so much. His evolution in the series is just phenomenal. In my opinion, it's one of the best villains I've ever experienced, and he's only in the one game. So my god, I've gone through 4 pieces of art. Okay, so we're in chapter 1. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh my god, this is gonna be great. And I actually opened up with Matriarch Benezia, which I didn't expect that to happen. I don't know if is it going alphabetical. We have Saren. I mean, it looks like a decrepit old dude, but kind of thin, kind of freaky. Oh, look at all the different head shapes that they had in mind for him. It's funny. I mean, I'm gonna try to get in here with I can't talk this much in depth about every page, but let's take a look at that art. You notice that? See this guy right here, this one in the middle? It's crazy because like I don't remember what the final form took when he starts going all Gethy, like he goes into that husk kind of Saren thing, and when he starts to kind of become more machine, I feel like the shape of the head starts to turn into more like that. And you take a look at that shape, right, the one I pointed out, and then you think about what the Geth heads look like, right? That would have been crazy foreshadowing. There's a couple in here that's like it's the hybrid already. Like he's got half of his face is melted on one of these concepts. take a look at Benezia. I won't do this for every page, but let's just take a look at how the pages are laid out. So a couple different costume choices for her for the series. I think that's pretty cool. Now, it's funny because some of the designs at the bottom here, they almost look like the alt uniforms you could pick in Mass Effect 3. 2 as well. I mean, there's a couple in here that they just kind of have the same spirit as some of those designs. And we have more from Saren, a second page of Saren, and oh yeah, some concept. Oh my gosh, that's crazy concept art though. Look at that one right there. So I'm taking out one of the senators maybe, or like one of the final. Well, it's probably not a senator, but it's civilian or something. Maybe it's Shepard in casual garb. In any case, let's start flipping through a little faster here. Humans, more humans. We got the Ashley armor from Mass Effect 1 and the Shep. Honestly, like this is gonna, I could go through each page like this and think about things. Look at this. Like I said, I mean, look at some of these concepts for humans. Look at the bottom row here of costumes. Like they look like prisoner jumpsuits. I mean, I don't recall seeing prisoners in the game, but there's definitely reference to prisoners in the game. And I wonder if at one point they thought maybe they'd show more of those scenes, and so they would need to have those jumpsuits. You know, like when you break out. Now I'm like, am I just forgetting? Like in Mass Effect 2 when you do that breakout. We pick up Jack. Anyways, we have the Asari Designs, a bit of a blurb here, a bit of a lore blurb. That's what I love, man. I love the idea of like bringing all this stuff together, you know. Again, some more an Asari shot there. Some Turians. Wow, the head designs are so different. Oh my god. Whoa, some of them even look, check this out. Okay. Okay, watch. Check this out. For those who don't have the book, I mean, so look at the different head shapes there, and you can see that they almost use some of these for different creatures. You can see they sort of look like Solarians. Look at the one 3 rows from the bottom, right? That looks like kind of a Solarian. Look at the bottom, the middle bottom. That's a Solarian, dude. So it looks like they kind of went one way, and they're like, well, we already have these art designs. I don't know, pick another alien head that could work for another race. Boom. Now you got your Solarians. Cool. Yeah, these are probably one of my favorite species in the game. In sci-fi, I think the Praetorians are pretty cool. Probably one of my favorites. We have the Krogan here on the side with Rex up in the corner. What the hell is this? Wow, that was hugely different. Look at this. Look at what they could have been, folks. That's what they could have been. That lean ass guy right there. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look like, I mean, we've just gotten so used to the way they look, you know, that it's hard to imagine the Krogan not looking like, well, I mean, it's like they're all shown in that armor though, right? So what if you take the armor off? Like maybe they intend, oh, that's actually very valid. Maybe they look like that without the armor. It's just in the games, they never designed the models for it. And so we never got to see it. Okay, well that's neat. We have the Solarians. Let's see what they do with the head shape here. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, what I was talking about with the Solarians, this was the Solarian, what they ended up looking like. Okay, and then let's look at some of the concepts. They likely took, see the one in the middle. Oops, the one in the middle over here. It has the 2 horn shapes at the top there. So it looks like they took that and then tried to extrapolate and design some other ideas. That looks nothing. Look at the this page with all the gestures. Like, oh my gosh, look at the bottom row. Is that like a creature of the Solarians, or that could have been a Solarian? It's crazy. It's crazy like how versatile an artist will go when working out the designs of the characters. And like it's crazy. Oh my gosh. Fuck. God. Folks. This is rad. Look at that. It's the friggin' Quarians. Like, we've only seen them with the mask because they get very sensitive to kind of, they got a weak immune system, and so they wear this suit all the time. But look at that. At one point, they had heads designed. This top row like seems completely foreign to me. Imagine, like it just doesn't fit. And they never ended up showing the face in any of the games. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a point where they show the face, or it's in an image or something like that. I never played that decision track in order to kind of see how that played out. I haven't seen many videos of any of it yet. Okay, we have the Alcor. I do like the Alcor. But there's the Alcor kind of like these these elephant dudes, like this one here. Look at all those different head designs that they had. That's crazy. Like they'll say like ecstatically, the designs for what we could have looked like are quite impressive. But it'll all be monotone. That's great. And then the Volus they share the political area inside the Citadel together. I don't know why I'm going into this lore. People either are here because they know what the hell I'm talking about, geez, or they don't care. And we have the Geth, of course. Yeah, in the first game, they kind of come across as like the Zerg horde sort of thing, kind of mindless, and they're like robots taking over, sentient and stuff like that. But then they evolve, and you find out, you know, that they've evolved into quote unquote living beings. And then you kind of, I think that's like the main through line of the entire series, which is why I love the series so friggin' much. So yeah, it's cool designs there. What the heck is this? Oh, the Thorian. I loved the idea of this in the series because there was that parallelism that happened between how the Reaper scenario worked with the Geth and, you know, indoctrination. But then here we have a monster that's organic. It's kind of like a plant mucus creature thing, and it can basically do the same thing. That was worth a lot of questions being asked, and that could have been explored like crazy in the series. Now in 2, I don't remember right now off the top of my head, I can't remember anything that was akin to that in 2, and of course 3 in the DLC especially, you find out about the Leviathans, and so then that insinuate like there was so many opportunities that they could have gone into when it comes to the idea of like mind control, like self-identity, the idea of free will, at what point this is something determined to be living with a soul, and then, you know, you kind of map that to how humans or live all the other life in the galaxy, why they consider themselves to be living, why they consider themselves not to be indoctrinated by their society or their culture or the Citadel or whoever, like whatever. But like there was a lot of meat there that could have been explored. Oh, again, all on the same note, because then there's the Rachni. And the Rachni insect, I mean, if you Stormtroopers, I'm sure was a huge influence on having an insect-based creature out in space that kind of communicated via the song. And it's again, there's this telepathic wave, or like this hive mind idea of how all of the drones or all of the Rachni could kind of communicate with the mother, and all on the same idea. That same idea, right? Because there's that theme. Was what I thought was awesome about Mass Effect 1 is that you had the theme of it was, how do you know you're in control of yourself? How do you know that you're making choices for the betterment of the things you decide, you think? Like it was created a confusing line between objectivity and subjectivity, which when it came to free will and what you're defending and what you're fighting for. So anyway, that's the thing with the Rachni, is that the Rachni Queen could also temporarily take over minds and stuff, and like great distances, across great distances at that. So man, again, something that they could have played with. Okay, so that's pretty much all the races and kind of laid out. And then here we have, we're gonna start hitting kind of setting locations, I presume. So we have the Citadel, some concept art for the Citadel. Look at that splash. Look at that, man. That's like a piece of the game that you experience, but look at that. Like that concept art right to this, right to the game. It feels perfect, man. It feels great. So each of these arms on this thing, for those who haven't played the game and don't care about spoilers and you're still here, there was something in space that basically kind of had this shape, but it could open up or it could close to protect itself. And every one of my fingers would basically be a city, would be like towers would be built on it, because the gravity would be at the top of my hand essentially, and so that's what every one of these arms would have. Like this at the bottom would basically be on the edge of each of these arms, you know. And the reason why I love that so much is because I'm a huge fan of Planescape. And for those who don't know what Planescape is, it's the center of the multiverse of the Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if it's still today in Dungeons and Dragons 5, but back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, whatever. The city at the center of the Great Disc, and at the top of that city was a ring, and the ring was called Sigil or Sigil. Some people pronounce it differently or the wrong way, but it's the right way. It doesn't matter. It's all perspective, anyways. Perception. And Sigil in the donut shape. That was Sigil. The cities were built inside, so if that was like a tire shape, the city would be built on the inside of the tire, essentially, and it would be it's strangely not, and then it would be infinite on top of it. So it kind of was, but it wasn't, but it was. Doesn't matter. It's the multiverse. Anything goes. So this is why I love this. Is the idea that you could look up and see the other part of the Citadel, of another ward, and so then we have some shots of the inside. And I love that there was this center hub. It reminds me of Babylon 5, right? It's like all these the Guardians of the Galaxy had Nowhere, all these great places, man. Great kind of hubs where you can kind of kick off adventures and go from there. So we have Noveria, the frozen world. We have Eden Prime, where the game kicks off, where the entire adventure kicks off. Eden Prime right there. Oh yeah, we got the Mako and the vehicles. What are vehicles? I guess some zipper or something. The things that never ended up making it into the game. I'll show these ones as well because, well, this first page, I'm not familiar with many of those. I mean, this plane maybe, and then we have, of course, the Mako. The car you hated to drive but love to hate it. I have a strange hate-love relationship with the Mako. I love it so much, but I hated what it put me through. But I love it. Anyways, designs for helmets. So again, I'm at page. Where am I right now? Page 52. So I'm about a third of the way through the book. I don't need to go through that much more. We got some insignias, some weapons. Let's start flipping through this a lot faster. We have some Get technology. Try to get some of it on screen, but. Some miscellaneous technology. Oh, we're gonna go into characters. Ooh. So we got Commander Shepard. Some concept art for him. We got some Miranda. Right there. That's a beautiful. I don't know if that's a cover, but that looks really good. Oh yeah, goddamn! I could have posters on for days on my walls, man. For this IP, it's so good. We got some Tali Zora. Also very. This is great art, man. God damn. We got Grunt. How did Grunt come before Rex? I don't know. I guess it's all the Mass Effect 3 dudes. We got some Thane Krios. Some Morden Solace. Love it. Legion. What a great character. Holy shit. What a great character, man. Look at that. Look at that piece. Oh, it's so good, man. Ah, yeah. Jack. Yeah, I love Jag. Kind of a surprising direction I took in Mass Effect 2, but it was great. Whoa, there's some crazy concepts for what Jag could have looked like. I'm glad they went with the way she looked, but punk was definitely a way to go for. But look at some of that on the bottom row there. Like that's... Oh, that third one is so not Jak, I mean, Jak's not for everybody. I get it. I understand. That's all right. In games, I'm attracted to the stories that I feel are going to be, they're going to have the broadest kind of swing. So, you have one perception, and if depending on what the perception is early on, based on the narrative devices or the signals that I'm kind of keying into, in my head I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool if this could go here, and I imagine a place where it could go. And then I'm attracted to those storylines, those characters, because I want to experience that actual transformation. Because that journey it could be way more robust as in the experience. Not to say that Miranda's storyline might not have been robust. I'm sure it had others, and Tali, same thing. But for me, there was just something to do with the character I created in the game. He was kind of going through some stuff and kind of coming to terms with what he did and what he was supposed to mean to the bigger picture. And he didn't get very close to people because he didn't want to lose them. And of course, in Mass Effect 1, you do lose one of your key companions at a vital part in the scene in the climax. One of the climaxes in the climax. I mean, one of the pivotal points before before you go into like the end game, and it kind of reinforced that he didn't want to connect with anybody. And then Mass Effect 2 comes around, and you kind of have a character that I mean, is an extreme version of the stuff that was the foundation of the character I was playing. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool, like the story, to kind of see. And for context, I played the game from an RP role-playing centric perspective, and so decisions were made in character based on inputs from the story, etc., etc. So and that's why this game is so meaningful to people who are huge fans of the series, is because of that. You give a piece of yourself, and you're kind of so invested in the story because the decisions you make have this contextual value to the experience that make it personal at one point to you, because the stories become the stories, it's like a piece of you that you're kind of exploring or something like that. And so that's what Jack was for me, is kind of seeing if she would come through it, and if she could give something back in her transformation, if she could kind of give something back to Shepard in order to help him transform and evolve to the person he had to be going into the end game, going into the kind of denouement phase, or the climax, or the Act 3, or however you might want to see it. So, and it played out perfectly. And then the reunion in Mass Effect 3 then was so good. I enjoyed it so much. Samara, I wish I did more with Samara. Samara for me was like one of those characters that I felt like could have been more, but didn't really. It kind of fell flat for me. Zaid was also a very fun character. He was a mercenary, kind of a badass mercenary he was like the action hero brought to life inside this game. But again, not that he was a shallow character, but also didn't land with me as strongly. Same thing with Kasumi. I love Kasumi, kind of like the tech wizard, tech ninja, tech ninja spy. I love my character's relationship with Kasumi. I always imagine that if there was like a kind of a series on some streaming service in the galaxy, that it would be the Joshua Coyote and Kasumi show. There's the two rogues, the two thieves going out there, like they're kind of like playing the gray zone. I love the potential of the headcanon story, I call it fanfic headcanon. Kind of like what every player kind of goes into when they start saying, they start having strong opinions about something. I'm like, no. It's your headcanon. You know, everybody's headcanon is right. There's no point in arguing about this stuff. These games, this one and Dragon Age, BioWare in particular, I mean, they make you make decisions that are intentionally polarizing. So, and then we have Tim, or the Elusive Man, also a great character with a great arc. And I am effectively going through the entire book, aren't I? The Shadow Broker was a great character too. Not the good, but I mean, I like the idea of the creature that they could have done more with. Can't do everything with everything. We got the Scion. Okay, let's start going faster here. The Praetorians, again, collectors. Let me at least be in the screen when I do this. I'm gonna start going faster because I'm at this point. I'm probably halfway through the. Yeah, I've reached the midway point. So now we're gonna be looking at some more cities. Ilium here, the Citadel. Oh yeah, look at that. Mass Effect 3. When you go to all the bars and the casinos and stuff. Buy the book if you really, if you like what you see, even partially. Buy the book, man. This is so cool. Look, what the mechs. You got the dog mech that you. Again, I wish they would have done more with. It's just this little roamer on your ship, and I'm like, do something with a dog. Don't let him just walk around. Come on, man, make it part of the story. Your first two companions, Ashley and Caden Alenko, James Vega, right there. Got Garrus, Liara, Jack. I gotta stop on Jack for a second. Give me a sec. Yeah, so we've already seen most of this, just more concept art. I've got some Liara, a lot of people's favorite. Some Edie, the Prothean, which of course leads to the DLC character. Again, I'm still trying to keep some stuff. We've got the child, Kai Lang. Thank you. Jesus, I can't believe I forgot that. Cool character design. He's badass. But an asshole. Anyways, moving on. The Elusive Man, his evolution, Cerberus Forces. So now we're going to go into some of the units and monsters. Oh yeah, the Reapers are great. Reaper designs are great. I can't lift this up any higher, otherwise the book will fall. We've got some Mars concept, Shakash, Tuchanka, Nanak, Thessia. So many pieces of art to look at. My God. The Normandy 2. Got some vehicles. Hope I don't get a paper cut. I feel like I'm going a little bit too fast. Oh, the Crucible. Oh yeah, looking at the world burn from the deck of the Normandy. So good. There you go. So I ended up going through the entire book. Now the Dragon Age ones are even bigger than this one, so I don't know. I always say I'm not going to go through something entirely, and then I end up going through it. I'm sure I'll cut through some of that. I didn't anticipate recording as long as I did, but I really wanted to flip through the book and take a look at things, and hopefully I can encourage you to please play this game if you haven't already. Pick up the Mass Effect comic books if you haven't read those. They're standalone-ish. Like if you haven't played the game, yeah, you're going to be missing some context as you read them, but I think I'm going off like my memory, but I think they tell you enough for you to understand the story that's happening in the comic book. But for sure, play the game after or during, or find a continuity list and follow it along. That's how I did it. Pick up the art book as well from Dark Horse and anything else that might come out. I mean, honestly, support this IP. I hope they do something more with this someday that shows it the respect that it deserves. This deserves to be around for a long time. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.